Ooh, what up? No, this is Knockouts and Three Counts, and it isn't Thursday, but we got some business to handle on Thursday. So we're coming at you a day early. Tonight, we are joined by the return of our guy, Kenny the Boss Cross, fresh off of that bloodbath that he just had last weekend inside XFC against tough Bellator veteran Emmanuel Sanchez. But before we get to that, you already know what the deal is. You got to talk to you about our sponsors who bring you this fine show. If you're in the need for tree trimming, walnut logging, lot clearing, storm damage cleanup, even just cutting your grass, Asa Potter and Potter's Tree Service have got you together. You got all the links that are in the description and all those good things. You don't need to go get Hacksaw Jim Duggan to get you a good 2x4. Just hit up Asa and Potter's Tree Service. Tell them Knockouts and Three Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to enjoy the show. There we go. Yeah, I guess we're going old school intro today. But with that said,
I haven't heard that one in a beat.
Yeah, man, it's a hot minute. Taking it back for those that have been watching Knockouts and Three Counts for a hot minute. But like I said, without any further ado, we got the return of our guy Kenny Cross. Man, first of all, congrats on the big win and all that good stuff. And speaking of the man, I talk of Potter's Tree Service, and there he is, man. Asa Potter makes the trip down there to Milwaukee as well. I saw. How's everything in the world of Kenny Cross?
Hey, shout out Asa Potter. Thank you for supporting all of us. That's my guy right there. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm on cloud 9 coming off a victory like that. You know, it's kind of a dream still. I'm living in this dream state, going and chasing them down. You know, one accomplishment after another. Just sitting back, taking a week to reflect, relax, thank God, thank my teammates and, you know, my sponsors, my wife, my family, everybody that has helped me with the last 3 months of preparation and just making sure I can go out there and be the best Kenneth Cross, the best version of myself, and deliver a beautiful performance. So I'm full of gratitude. I'm blessed that everything kind of went the way it was supposed to. And, you know, I got a lot of growth out of it, a lot of experience. And, you know, I'm head hunting for the next big fight, keep my name in the lights, and hopefully a really big opportunity presents itself here in the near future.
Well, talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, this is the second go-round for you back in XFC since they've rebranded and all that. What are your thoughts on the second go-round with XFC? And, you know, what are your thoughts on getting a win over a guy like Emmanuel Sanchez?
It's always been pretty smooth sailing at the XFC for me. You know, they pay a lot more than these other regional promotions pay. Their production is on a really high level. It's real professional. And, you know, the cage is my only complaint, but fighting in a tiny cage like that, you can't get that kind of experience unless you've been in it. So I think that gives me an advantage moving forward. The more time you spend in a chicken coop battle, dude that's trying to take your head off, and I'm trying to do the same, you know, it's only going to be a recipe for a great fight and certain intangibles that you're never going to have unless you go in there and you face that kind of challenges and move around in something so small. XFC, you know, they're on their way up again, and I'm on my way up again. So it's only naturally fitting that I've become more or less the face of the organization again, and, you know, put it on my back and carry it as far as I can. That's what I've always done with every promotion I fought for. I've always tried to be as disciplined as my mind would allow me for each camp. And, you know, I'm at a stage now in my life where that discipline's at its all-time high. So if you guys want a stellar athlete to put on and make you guys have a good name and represent you guys well, I'm the guy for the job.
What do you think has brought you to that point? What's the flip of the switch?
Just a lot of letdowns, a lot of defeats in my past, whether it's an everyday kind of decision making, whether it's letting emotions dictate your actions. And it kind of just snowballs from there. If you can stay in control of the sails of your mind, then you can go and, you know, put in that extra couple hours of work level up, step up your competition. You know, your ego goes away, take away all the things that the devil wants you to worship, and start really focusing on what God wants you to really worship, and to understand why we're here on this earth, and everything that you can do to carry yourself in these kind of lights will show you your path. And I think that I'm just fortunate enough to have opened my eyes and seen where my journey is supposed to lead, aside from where it could lead if I just let everything crumble. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own actions, no matter where you come from, no matter what you have. And I think I've just really started to ascend in every aspect of my life. And it's come down to wanting to have a family and wanting to be able to provide and give my wife an amazing life, as she has helped me with so much, just finding myself and having someone really truly believe in every aspect of who I am and what I'm capable of doing. So I just want to give back, and I want to not take for granted the love and support from everybody that's helping me this far.
Totally respect that, and that's something I wanted to talk to you about. Me being a God guy myself, talk to me about the change in mindset, because the guy that I hear now is a lot different than the guy who came to see us in the studio looking like a cross between Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. So talk to me a little bit about that, and how has the mindset change helped you inside the cage?
You know, that guy's he's still here. He's still in me. You know, I'm an entertainer. This is the entertainment business. And it's just finding myself, being more confident in who I am, and what I value, what I spend my time on, and how I speak to myself. You know, when I moved out to Vegas a year and a half ago, I had a buddy with me, Zane Corey, and he wanted to go to a church. And I was like, I'm down to go to church. You know, my dad used to make me go to church all the time as a kid. You know, I've spent my time in the church listening, trying not to fall asleep. But now, you know, as an adult, I'm choosing to go to church because I know I'm blessed, even though I might not be where I'm at. It's time for me to start really knowing who the Father is and why I am the way I am, and how I have so many gifts that I have to show the world. And God uses each person kind of in his own way, that he, you know, based him off of his own image as you're created. So, you know, finding my true self and my true self-worth, and just leaning into Jesus Christ and thanking him for everything that's come my way, wins, losses. One of the hardest things I say to find in this world is someone that you are completely in love with, and that you're willing to have hard conversations with, and grow, and try to become the best version of yourself without changing the other person too much, but allowing God to kind of form that person as you guys grow together into one person. So I've already won because God paid for my sins. I've already won because I found the love of my life. I've already won because of the family that I have around me, and who I can count on, and who I can go to if I'm, you know, if I'm happy or if I'm sad, and find the right words to cheer me up. It's lonely out here. They say it's lonely at the top, but it's really lonely in the middle. And trying to climb to the top, you know, you're going to lose friends. You're not going to have a social life. As a kid, I just thought it was all about social life. I never wanted to be by myself. And that's something that I've learned, is like being with myself and being with God. You know, my wife goes to work all day, and I train only for a few hours a day. So I have a lot of time to invest into whatever I want, and just finding the right proper things to spend my time has really shown me what I can achieve, show me where I'm at, where I've come from. And, you know, I just don't let things get to me. A lot of people have their opinions, and they'll judge you or whatever, but all that kind of stuff isn't for me. It's, you know, I just keep giving it up to God and Jesus Christ, and just saying like, yo, this is a tough weight cut, but I know that you're going to help me through it. This is a tough fight, but I know that you have my back, and I've prayed for these moments and to be in the light. So like, let me shine so I can give you all the praise and all the glory, and, you know, spend my time on earth the best that I can, and try to change people's lives, whether that's helping them follow Jesus or helping kids think that there is a higher power and that you're not alone, because, you know, this world's crazy. So if I can shed a little bit of light on coming from nothing, and, you know, having big dreams, and that you can achieve it.
I totally respect that. Like I said, anybody that's followed our show for any amount of time, I got saved probably 11 years ago now. Shortly after I had stomach surgery and all that stuff. And as somebody that's competed myself, I definitely can understand why that can change your mindset and all that stuff. But with that said, man, I like what I'm hearing with all that stuff right now, but you got to tell me, dude, talk to me about this fight against Emmanuel Sanchez. What were your thoughts on the performance? And I guess the most obvious question, is this the bloodiest fight you've ever been in?
By far the bloodiest. Yeah, it was actually pretty exciting. Once those fluids started flowing, I could tell that it was a different fight for this guy, that no matter what game plan he had coming in, as soon as his face was leaking like that this was my fight to win. Going into the fight, warming up backstage, just kept it light, stayed positive. I was watching the fights. I was kind of on my legs for a few hours, so my legs felt a little dead, but I was going in there. I envisioned him dropping like a sack of potatoes, and me standing above him, just looking down on him. And when we got in there, a lot of intensity, small cage, forces the action. And, I wanted to see what these hands could do. I just got my left arm back 2 weeks prior to this fight, and it's been about a year and a half without my best friend, my lucky left kiss of death. And, I was excited to get in there and just throw and just let the hands fall on his face, put him out there, put the pressure on him. I got into a few nice blitzes and striking sessions where most people would have fell down. Most people couldn't have taken the shots that I hit him with. And I saw a couple of times his soul leaving his body, and then he would just find his bearings again. And I'm like, damn, like I imagine him falling. Like this was the part where he was supposed to fall, and he's still in my face, and he's still punching me back. So I'm like, all right, like I got energy. I have a lot of training, I'm ready to go to all out war with this guy and have an entertaining fight. I was just trying to show what I could do. I had that I'll show you feeling to a lot of the people that, were rooting against me, and to all my people that believed in me, that there's a lot of levels that I have yet to show the world. And my striking is something I've always been confident at. A lot of my fights, every time I warmed up, got to warming up on them in the cage, they just fell and it would be over with before, you could see really what I was made of. So performance overall, I'm happy with it. It's not a perfect performance. I don't like the way I finished. I was going all out with a cardio king, and, I made it through, which was a big accomplishment, something that I can, put a feather in my hat to, but I'm not where I want to be. I have a lot to learn. I'm almost 30 years old, just entering my prime. And all I know is that the next 5 fights, they're going to continue to be better than the last one. So as happy as I am with it, I'm excited for the next one.
Well, that leads into something else we got to talk about. So obviously that's a big win. I would argue probably one of the biggest of your career, outside of maybe Contender Series or something of that nature. What is next for you? Do you see another fight inside XFC? Are you looking to try to move up to one of the bigger shows? What's next in your crosshairs with that one?
Yeah, we're in the talks right now to be drawing up a 2-fight contract with the XFC. So that's kind of what I'm waiting to hear on. Hopefully the UFC is knocking on my door. I have Iridium, great management team to take care of that kind of stuff. I'm happy where I'm at. And as long as I can stay active, stay injury free, I don't have a scratch on my face from that last fight. Either he hits like a girl or I got some tough skin. Obviously, I've actually been hit by girls a lot harder than that. But, yeah, I'm ready for more. I'm really healthy, and I'm about 180 pounds. I got pretty big. This is the biggest I've been, but weight cut ain't nothing. I'll handle my business and get back down to weight and get another, fight of the night bonus. Get another big name under my belt. If that's an XFC, awesome. If the UFC calls and give me something that kind of lines up, I'm not trying to take a two-week notice fight right now, but you never know. I think in the contract, XFC is going to write up if UFC gives me an offer that I can take them up on it. But I enjoy the XFC and what they're about, and you know, the experiences, what they're given, like allowing us to go and play with kids in need or special needs, and the little things like that is just like, you can't buy that kind of stuff. You're not going to go out and find it on your own for the most part. So it's so grateful that they're going out of their way to make fighters have fun during that week and to be able to give back. Cause at the end of the day, like that's what I love doing, is giving back.
Talk to me about that a little bit, man. Like anyone that knows our show, you know, I've got cerebral palsy and I worked with kids with disabilities for years. I've worked with kids from everything to Down syndrome to autism to Asperger's and every cerebral palsy, obviously, and everything in between. Talk to me about getting to do that kind of stuff. I saw a little bit about that the day before. You know, I saw you get an arm barred. Talk to me about that stuff.
You know, guys, all those guys will always have a special place in my heart. Like the joy, the love, the creativity, the freeness that they have. They're gifts to this world. And if anyone could be so lucky to be close to one, you'll see the effects that they have on you, and you start to realize that things that you thought really mattered don't. And there's a lot more to life than having anxious feelings and being up and being afraid of failing. Like these guys will go out and do anything. Like they're not afraid of failure. They're told no, yeah, all the time. But like to be able to go out there and show them like, you guys can do this and look, you're amazing, and they give it right back to you, like just so cheerful and playful. And like one kid kept coming up and like whispering in my ear. I was like, I thought he was gonna give me a kiss, and he's just like, loser. Like just what? You want to go? He's like, this is my home. This is my home. I'm like, let's go, baby. Can't buy that. It was awesome. It really took our minds off of the violence, the brutality that we're about to put on each other in a few hours.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, speaking of that, did you get to see what fellow Extreme Couture teammate of yours, Justin James, just got to do? That was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was sweet. He's like, I won.
Yeah, dude, that was so dope.
Justin's my, so that's the Midwest boys for you right there, and we love to give back, and just fill up your cup with that kind of love, man. Life's beautiful.
Hell yeah, man. For those that don't know, he got to step into the cage against a guy who's got autism, I believe. And it was a cool ass thing to see, number one. Number two, I couldn't agree more with you about Justin being I've known Justin since Justin was still fighting in like the Royal Oak Music Theater. I was literally just talking about this with Bruce Strunk before we went live. Like I remember being there when him, Miles, Darren, Damon Dyer, and then Jeremy Stevens even came down here to walk out with Miles for that fight, all at the Royal Oak Music Theater. These are fucking old ass days.
Guitar Hero, bro. Back when Guitar Hero was popping, I'm sure he was probably shredding on that game.
Fuck yeah, dude. Just not doing like Zumaya and breaking his wrist right when we're about to go into the fucking World Series. But with that being said, you got to tell me, now that you've been out in Vegas for a while like that, have you, I know you were already tight with Cody and stuff like that, but I know those two always are hitting up some different hunting shit. So have you gotten into any of that since you've been out in Vegas?
No, I haven't been shooting any guns, hunting, but I've met some people, got some connections. They want to take me out and shoot. Even back when I was with Darren Cruikshank, he was always trying to take me shooting. And
he's got all the guns you could ever want.
Yeah. I never really was into guns too much. As the world gets crazier, I start to find myself talking more and more about purchasing one, because I got a katana that's by my front door, and dudes are running around with shotguns. So I got to up my game. So I'll definitely be doing some target practicing and getting into some more hand-on pew, pew, pew going on.
All I'm saying is you got to protect your family. That's all I'm saying.
Hell yeah, man. I can't hate on that at all. Shout out to Devin. We're going to see each other tomorrow when we were out for his bachelor party, dude. We were shooting AKs and Glocks and all kinds of shit. So it was a good time. First time shooting a red dot. I had a pretty good aim, just saying. But with that said, dude, we
it's been a pretty big year as well for your boys over here at Knockouts and 3 Counts. Shout out to everybody who's checking us out on bodyslam.net and Millions as well. Says right now we got about 151 of y'all in here right now. So feel free to drop a comment and share it out here. But with that being said, dude, we are crossing one of the last ones off our list and working with AEW out here coming up. So with that being said, I know you got to check out some AEW out there in Vegas, bro. Talk to me about that.
Whose house?
Swerve's house, bro. He was actually in the tattoo room with me when I got the tattoo from our past guest of the show, Lindsay Snow. That was our last shirt.
Yeah, I was going to the AEW, and then all of a sudden little kids and old grown men are just shouting out, and I'm just like looking around like, what's that? And before I left, like I was one of those kids just screaming it out there. My wife's looking at me like, what? It's just compelling. It sucks you in. So that I went to one of those AEW to kind of just see, the behind the scenes and the way they're all acting and going out there with the personas and those images and the looseness they could be with, just letting things flow and trying to take away a little bit of that game and add it to my repertoire as you may. It was fun. I had a good time.
I mean, I'd say you had a pretty good head start from the time that we did the show in the studio, being that, like I said, you had like the Hulk Hogan Macho Man going on with the fucking blonde hair and then the mix and the beard. It was kind of like 1998 Hulk Hogan or something.
I don't know about that. A lot of people probably just started watching me fight. They don't know about any of that, but
that's why they got to go check out the archives, Doc.
I'm always coming to Extreme, and all my teammates are like, bro, you look different every single day, whether I just braid my hair, put it up. I had the red, white, and blue beard, big beard, no beard, coming in with a mustache. Sometimes shave the mustache and just pretend I'm Muslim, like walking Habib, like just always switching it up, acting goofy. So, yeah, I got a lot of different looks out. I haven't dyed my hair in a while, but yeah, I like to mix it up. I like to keep it exciting and have some fun with it. That's what we're here for.
Hell yeah, I definitely rock with that, dude. And we've talked about it before,
especially when you look at the UFC and the fact that they're now TKO is like partnered with WWE, dude. It's a perfect marriage, and if you can find like that right balance of being able to use that to promote yourself, it's only going to serve you. And like I said, you've already been doing that for a while. That said, you're working with XFC. Have you gotten to meet Big E at all yet?
I did get to meet him in Detroit. He was
hell yeah, man.
I didn't have a whole lot of time to talk to him. I met Megatron, and then I saw him, and I was talking about my entrance music was Shawn Michaels, and I was like, I did that for you. He's like, you did that for
me. That's awesome, dude. Shawn Michaels is the man, dude. He's over there running things down at NXT. NXT just had their big debut on the CW yesterday and all that stuff. But speaking of big fights and all that, dude, I mean, who better to ask than you? We got to talk about UFC 307, dog. How do you think that's going to play out? You got Alex Pereira and Khalil Roundtree. You got Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. Jose Aldo stepping back in there this weekend. And then you got Kevin Holland is hopping back in there at middleweight against Elidze. And then you got Kayla Harrison back in there. So pretty decent pay-per-view, including Stephen Thompson on the prelims.
Is Stephen Thompson fighting my boy Buck?
Yeah.
He's got, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That is.
So, how do you feel about
a big
that
step
fight?
up.
I'll go with Buck. His cardio's insane. His pressure's nuts. His athleticism's crazy. He's got good takedowns for a guy that didn't wrestle. Got, unwavering will. So I'll go with my boy Buck. Love Stephen Thompson, but it's Buck's time.
I like that.
I'm gonna go
Buckley's.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
With the main event, I'm gonna go with I want Khalil to win because he's got such a great story. He's got a lot of power. If you just saw his grip strength, he's got more grip strength than Pieta. They just did that little interview of grip strength. But I love Alex as well, and he's just such a good sniper from one of those styles of just staying far away, chipping at the leg, and then taking you out. Great, amazing left hook, straight shot with the right hand, and he beat my boy Jamal. So you got to give him his flowers. But
so let me ask you about that though. So with the Jamal thing, how do you feel about Khalil getting the title shot here after they had the whole thing with the steroids thing? I mean, I know it got put out that was just like a tainted supplement thing, but for him to get the next title shot when he was supposed to fight Jamal.
Yeah, I mean, with the steroid thing, it's like they just cloud your whole record, your whole legacy as soon as one of those things come out, especially when you're giving it to a second party, you're having your people test it and send it to you. And for that to happen, as a fighter, I know that we really watch what's going into our bodies and we feel safe. So when that happens, it's like one of the biggest losses you could ever have, just the integrity that comes from it. As a fighter, you just hold yourself to a higher standard and you don't ever want that to happen. So the fact that kind of messed with his name sucks. So I'm happy that they're giving him this chance to pass over Jamal. That would have been a great fight for Jamal as well. But I also would like Jamal I tore my Achilles and you got to take some time. So I would like for him to continue to keep training. Obviously he'd do whatever you want, but I would like for him to continue to kind of heal that leg and prepare himself, because he's not going to have any easy fights. He's fighting the best in the world, no matter who he's fighting. So I want him to be at his healthiest, because he can make that title run again and claim that title again, King in the North. So, I think him and Khalil and Jamal will probably end up meeting down the road. It's God's timing. And, I would like to see someone else hold that belt. Pierre came in and just manhandled everybody. You can only be the man for so long when you're the one getting hunted and everyone's breaking down your style. And, it might be Khalil's time. So I'm excited for that one. I'm going to be rooting for both of them, but a little more, because if Khalil wins, it'll be more exciting. And, I'm here to be excited.
You think he can take out Pereira, though? Pereira's been like the KO king out here, bro. Doesn't matter whether it's been 85 or 205. I mean, I read a stat the other day that said in 8 fights, man, in 8 fights in the UFC, he's been able to conquer 2 weight classes like that. I mean, he's done more in his first 8 fights than like McGregor, who it took him 6 to get to the belt. They went like through a whole list of them. So, I mean, I think it's going to take a hell of a thing to knock Pereira off the mountain.
He's a legend already. Like, he's legendary status, and he's been in the UFC for only a handful of years. You can't take that away from him for sure. And, a smart bettor would put money on him. I'm not a good gambler. I go off that 7 cents or whatever that I feel. But, if you have a good game plan against him, I feel like no one really game plans that well against him. I mean, and like Jamal didn't even get a real time to use whatever game plan he was using, but everyone's trying to strike and show that they're a better striker than him. And no one's mixing up the MMA. And I don't know if they've gone back and watched fights where he's lost a lot of these fights when he has 16-ounce gloves on and stuff. Like, so people should be able to expose this man one way or another. Izzy did it, and then you do the fight mask the way Izzy looked against Sean Strickland. Doesn't mean, that Izzy's this amazing fighter. He is really good, but it's not like he's superhuman. Same thing happened with Sugar Sean versus Marab. Everybody thought he was superhuman. He couldn't lose. He has this kiss of death in his left hand, but a good game plan nullifies a lot of that stuff and makes you look normal. So hope maybe Khalil could surprise the world, shock the world, and hopefully he's been working on some of those things that are going to help him get the job done.
Corey, I know you got some thoughts on some of these fights.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I mean, if we're starting at the top, since that was the most recent one broke down, I agree with your analysis. Nobody ever comes into a Poatan fight fighting him in a fight IQ type of way. That being said, Khalil Rountree's not going to either. He's very much came out and said, I'm not going to switch up shit in this camp. If I forget which one of the podcasts I was watching too, but he basically was on there saying, like, if one of my coaches started recommending me to start wrestling him right now, I'm going to find a coach to replace him. I was like, wow, all right.
Right.
Like, that's one, like, I get, like, that's not what got you here. You're at the title bout. You're on, what, like a 4 or 5 fight win streak. almost all knockouts, if I'm not mistaken, on this rise. He's looked like a totally different fighter post-COVID. He's really transitioned his game. That whole Muay Thai element that he's added really added a whole different arsenal to his game. Way more dangerous than he used to be. I think he definitely has a chance in this fight. You're telling me you're going to go in there and you're going to strike against somebody who's outstruck everybody, and that's like, I mean, striking that's
kind of
dangerous
Khalil's game,
sport.
though. I mean,
do
you really think he's going to wrestle him?
No, I don't, and that's what I said. I don't think he's going to. He made that very adamant that he's not going to. But yeah. To go into a fight with that mentality of I'm not even going to even think that way, even if I'm tagged and I'm at death's door, I'm not even thinking about grabbing a double leg. Like, all right, cool. But there's always that chance that Khalil Roundtree lands some solid shots. He's a very good striker. He uses all facets of his game very well. I love his body kicks that he's able to do, the quickness that he's able to snap him up there and stuff like that. That being said, I feel like a lot of people are kind of giving him that underdog hype right now of like, oh, this is the one to do it. And I feel like it's going to be a very interesting fight until it's over. And I feel like it'll be over sooner than we probably think.
I kind of am in the same boat as you, to be honest. I mean, I think, look, anyone who watches the show knows I preach about momentum all the time. I'm a big believer in momentum. Like, I think a lot of times when you get a fighter who, is on a roll, like somebody like Alex Pereira's on, or, even like you mentioned, you mentioned Sean O'Malley and the rise that he was on and all those things. Momentum is a real thing, not just in fighting, but I feel like in all facets of life. And I feel like with the rise that Pereira is on like that too, that's a whole nother weapon that he's going to step into that cage with too, because Kenny, you can speak to this too, but like having that mindset of knowing ahead of time, like I can knock this guy out, and I have been knocking like the best guys out in the world. Like, I mean, he's been beating everybody. Yeah. They've been talking about him going up to possibly fight for a third title. I've heard it thrown around more than one place about him going up to go fight John Jones or something like that too. So, I mean, when you're in a level like that, when they're talking like that because of the rise that you're on, that is going to be a bad motherfucker to take down, because that's a lot of momentum. I just don't know that I see Khalil to be the one to do that, but he has the recipe to do it because he's got knockout power. I just don't know that I think he's going to be the one to take it off him. Although go ahead.
Shouldn't be able to, with what you just said and what Alex has done, and you look at his physique and his length and his family and his ancestors, what he's always representing and what he believes. He's by far the scariest guy. Him and fucking big heavyweight dude Brock Lesnar. Like, there's not many people that have put off this scary ass vibe that he has of like, that guy don't give a shit. Like, he's going to eat you in there. He's not getting touched, and he's so strong. And then his kids are even going to be talking shit. Like, it's not a good situation. But with that said, old Roundtree has so much momentum with him, and like from the universe of our gods and our certain things that I can relate with is like just being an underdog, overlooked, having that chip on his shoulder, and growing that mentality of like, he doesn't see how he could lose. And that's a scary man going up against someone that normally takes that heart away from you just on his walkout. But like, Khalil isn't going to have any cares in the world about this guy. And he just wants to go and, he's got those fucking bulky arms that just like extend overhands that just can reach his opponents and come from low, and just getting in, like hitting different kind of turns and angles and fit-ins, like where he's not shooting but get to chest, and he'll be kicking weirdly. I mean, both of them will be. So I'm excited for it. The safe bet's Pereira, but the exciting thing for me is to watch fall.
Hell yeah. Well, what do you think about the ladies, bro? Do you think Raquel Pennington keeps her belt, or do you think Pena can get her a strap again?
Raquel Pennington and is basically Jessica I don't even know who's who. Not my favorite fighters. All due respect, but like I don't like watching them fight at all. I hope Julia Pena puts it on her. Julia's pretty sweet to watch. Even if she wrestles, at least she's fun to watch. And I feel like she's gonna just take her neck or get knocked out, one of the two.
I went into that Raquel Pennington, the title bout in the last one. I'm like, man, I really hope like she gets her flowers. This is like her come up. This is her chance. And then she went out there and put on that fucking performance. And
I can't even remember it. I just know that every one is one I can't remember.
I was like, oh man, like you can't. You got your shot. Like you got your like. She's got a belt.
Rose.
No, who did she fight?
They fought. It was
Caitlin Vieta or something.
Yeah. Well, they fought in the vacant title fight. I'll tell you in a second.
Who was it? Buena Silva? Was it Buena Silva?
I think so, but I'll tell you in a second.
Okay. Yeah, tell me for sure. But either way, it was just the biggest. It was just the biggest dud of a fight ever. And I just remember coming back on here the day after, whenever we recorded the next one, talking about MMA, and I was like, man, I retract everything I said. Fuck this shit. Yeah. So that being said, to your point exactly, I like the fact that Pena's in here. I feel like besides Kayla Harrison, who's also fighting 2 fights below this one, that she's the rightful one to be fighting for the belt currently. I mean, I know she took a long break off and stuff like that, but
it was Buena Silva.
Yeah, it was Buena. So that was just such a fucking dud of a fight. And, you know, it is what it is. We're on to this one. Like you said, I wish we would have got more of Pena being able to be in front of a mic and kind of, you know, lay into her a little more. Maybe we'll see it tomorrow because I'm pretty sure they're doing a press conference. So maybe we'll see more of it then. But I don't know, man. Like you say, I hope Pena wins just on the simple fact of like we need some entertainment holding the belt. We don't need somebody who just goes in there simply to try to eke out a round against somebody. Just squeak it by. You know
I think so. I feel like Pena wins it. I feel like Pena wins this fight too, but I can't lie. Part of me almost feels like the UFC's wanted Pena to stay up there low key because like they were kind of happy when Raquel kind of. Well, no shit. We're a pro wrestling show, so you know I can fucking I can appreciate that as well. So I'm just saying, I feel like for that reason, and think about it, the UFC just lost arguably like their next biggest star when you're talking about like Conor and all that stuff. Conor's not fighting right now. Sugar Sean was like the biggest personality guy that they had in the UFC. Merab just took him out. So, I mean, you need something. And like you said, a lot of the time when it comes to the women's fights, unfortunately, it doesn't always get the same hype as everything else. So, like, for me, I feel like for that reason alone, I think she'd be great. But if you want my honest opinion, just like you just said, I think Kayla Harrison's next up. Like, I think – go ahead.
Same weight class? 55?
Yeah.
Well, no. Kayla.
No, they're at 35.
35 now.
Oh, God. Yeah, Kayla Harris. I'm waiting for her to get the belt because she's not even like crazy on the mic, but she's aggressive on the mic. Like,
yeah,
I respected what she said in there. She's like, "Look, I came here to win the title. Period. I want all the smoke. I'll fuck all of you up. Period."
I mean, she went from fighting in the tournament for 3 years. So we're talking 4 fights a year for 3 years. She took that 1 year off and now she's in the UFC. So, I mean, I bet she's ready to get back to that, you know, let's get them going. And to be honest with you, if she wins this one, I mean, I know we're skipping over the Jose Aldo fight for a second, but
we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, if she wins this one, she is the next contender for the belt. I mean, there's no one else in the division that's bringing the type of attention that she is currently.
Facts.
100%. All right, you talked about it, dude. I'm happy. Look, man, I'm an old school guy, so the fact that I get to see Jose Aldo inside a cage again is not a bad thing at all to me. It hurt my feelings to watch what happened to him when we went and watched him fight here in Detroit, but I always love to see the King of Rio get back inside the cage. Kenny, you think he's taking out Mario Bautista, or you think they're trying to feed the old legend to Batista?
That Mario kid is how many fights does he have in the UFC? Like 2, 3?
No,
Yeah, not many.
No,
Or no, he's got more
like
than that.
6 to 7.
He's I was gonna say 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean that gets you to the next level. If he had 3, I would definitely say Aldo. But when you get up to 6, you really kind of settled in there and made a name for you. I'm about to make a name for myself here, boy. But I would like to lean towards Aldo. I don't know how many more fights he has left, and now that his rivalry with McGregor is over, I'm a huge Aldo fan. So that'd be cool if he could hit him with the Chad Mendez knee to the face, something sweet, get another KO before he floats off.
We were all wrong. He's got 11 in the UFC.
Oh,
I knew it was. That's why I was trying to look it up, because I knew I was kind of understating it even with my 7.
He's been on a run, though. He's, like you said, I mean, he's had a lot of energy. He's been real exciting in the last fights. Like, I think that's why they put this fight together. But, I mean, again, I still stick by what I said. Jose Aldo is not going to back down from that guy, and he's going to try to kick his fucking head into the 3rd row.
It's going to be like the Sanchez fight I just had. Like, you're going to have to put him out because that guy has too much experience. He's so strong-willed, really fast, durable, and he's going to be coming forward. So, Homeboy's going to have to knock his lights out, or Aldo's going to probably end up, edging him out, hurting him a little bit, staying in his face, and becoming too much. But also the guy does have 11 fights in the UFC. He's basically that as well. Once you get to a certain level, it kind of doesn't matter anymore. Once you've seen enough things, it's just another human in front of you.
Yeah, it becomes a mental battle at that point, as long as you don't see him like as a big opponent. That was something I was going to ask you earlier about with the Emmanuel Sanchez fight, because I feel like that was another type of potential opponent where you're like, man, I've seen this guy, dot to dot, blot to blot, and it's like been watching him, for years now, and to take on these type of guys. I mean, that's what MMA essentially almost always ends up being, is the young guys trying to take on the old, trying to eat the older. It's how it's always been. But in this
like
particular
that in pro wrestling too.
In this particular matchup, though, I mean, they did that the last time with Jose Aldo too. I forget his exact opponent in that one, Martinez, if I'm not mistaken. Why can't I think of his first name? He was on a tear as well. He was that next guy.
Martinez.
Yeah, Jonathan Martinez. He was that next guy as well, and that was the return of Jose Aldo. He's just coming to potentially fight out his contract.
Yeah.
Well, we see that it's not really how it worked out. He's now signed on to another one and taking on another young up-and-comer. We'll see how it plays out. I feel like Mario Bautista is a little more well-rounded. I am familiar with his game and stuff. He's one of those guys that's like really grimy. If you give him an opportunity to find like a sub or something like that, he usually takes him. He's not particularly known for his knockout power. He gets a good amount of decision victories, but exciting ones. It's not like he drags out a victory. He brings it to people the whole time. We'll see if he's able to do that against somebody like Jose Aldo. We've also seen Jose Aldo's kind of turned away from the kicks in like the last 5 years of his fighting career. I've been saying it for years. If he can bring that back, I think we'll see a totally
the leg kicks he used to have, bro. I always think back to his fight against Faber and how he like just kicked his fucking leg off.
That's what Martinez was really known for, though, was leg kicks, and he did a great job of stifling that and bringing his offense on top of that. So that being said, I feel like that fight's a real toss-up. Heart says Aldo because, I've been a fan of him for years, but I feel like Mario Bautista might just be that step in his, he's at that point. Yeah, like you said, it is a good matchup.
Like I said, I think this card is underrated. In the last fight we're going to talk about, Kevin Holland goes back up to 85. This dude is just chasing the bag. Kevin Holland against Roman Dolidze. I feel like this fight's going to be interesting, dude. I feel like even though we saw a lot of grappling from Roman Dolidze in his last fight, I feel like Kevin Holland's going to turn this into a brawl of a fight, I feel like. I don't see this being like too wrestling heavy or anything like that. Roman Dolidze got a win in his last fight.
A lot of
but I feel like Kevin Holland's going to make it nasty. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin's moving back up. Roman's a big dude. He's an extreme boy. I see him all the time sparring with Sean and all the big guys, all the big scary dudes at Extreme. And he's got that new hairline now too, so he's probably a little extra fast, a little extra slick. He's got a lot to prove. I know he's got a lot of people that look up to him and think that his warrior spirit's like ridiculous. So I'm sure he wasn't thrilled with his last performance, and he's gonna want to get this back, you know. But then you got Kevin Holland, who's hard to hit, who's funny out there, frustrates his opponents by being funny in the moment and tough to hit. Yeah, I always love how they keep putting Buckley and Kevin Holland on like the same cards and like bringing them next to each other, because that was such a funny fight to watch. And unfortunately, my boy rough end of it, but you know, I'm always waiting to see those guys fight each other again and stuff like that. But they just keep matching them up on the same cards, and they just gotta be cordial and say hi to each other. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Roman because I'm an Extreme boy, and I want my fellow fighter teammate to pull off the dub, bring some more good energy back into Extreme. It'll be a fun fight to watch for sure.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely get down with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good breakdown, but I feel like Roman Dolidze, he's one of those guys. He was kind of from the beginning of his UFC career, everybody was like, he's going to be one of them guys. He's going to be in the top 5. And I feel like we're finally starting to see him actually turn that corner with his skills. He's actually
that's because he's not so worried about being in wars as much. I feel like I think we've seen a lot more maturity of him inside the cage. I feel like, because you watch his first few fights when he was on that roll and kind of like getting his name out there in the UFC. Like realistically, if we're really being honest, like he was getting in wars every fight, and you quickly realize when you're fighting at a level like that in the UFC, bro, you can't. Like, you can only do that so much. I mean, obviously, Pereira's doing that in a lot of fights, but I mean, he's known for being the big striking guy. I think Dolidze is finally starting to mature more as a fighter and lean into that in his fights, which served him well as in his last fight.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he was able to dominate my boy Anthony Smith. Made him look like he wasn't even there, essentially, and that was a rough one to watch for sure. But that being said, I like what you say, Kyle. I think Kevin Holland, he always finds a way when fights do get drugged to the ground to chase these submissions, make it exciting. Even if he doesn't end up finding them, he always is like tying up an arm, tying up the neck, throwing up triangle. He's always active from down there. And I think if we do see that more mature fight style, the takedown heavy, because that's the one thing he does struggle with is the wrestling side. He's good once he's on his back, but he struggles, resisting being on his back, I guess. But I think Dolidze is going to go for a fair amount of takedowns, land some damage, and I feel like Kevin Holland is going to throw up a bunch of submission attempts. I don't know if he's going to land them. That's how I see the fight playing out. I don't know who necessarily wins. I just see a bunch of submission attempts coming from Kevin Holland from the ground.
Yeah. Can't argue that, dude. All I know is this is going to be a sleeper card, dude. Really looking forward to it. Kenny, you already know the deal, man. It's always good to have you on the show and all those things. I'm coming out to Vegas next year, all right? Up in Vegas. So we gotta kick it and link up. Last time I came through there and had Gil kicking my ass next to John Moxley and all that stuff. So yeah, it was good times in Vegas. So when I come out there to Vegas, dude, we gotta hook it up.
Yeah, you come. We got a room open for you, so save yourself some money and stay here at the Cross Express.
I'll definitely be down there at some point for sure. I plan on it because I got to link up with another Extreme Couture guy and our guy Chris Cale, man. He told us from Five Finger, he's like, bro, when you come down to Vegas, you got to shoot me a line. So who knows what the hell that's going to get into? Who knows? Maybe we'll end up seeing some comedy. But all I do know is I'm ready to see what's next from Kenny Cross inside the cage. Dude, I always appreciate the time and glad to see you doing well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys setting this back up so we could do a little fight breakdown, you know, actually be hydrated for once and have a cool conversation. It's nice having the fight already over with so we can kind of break it down instead of just my thoughts on it, because you get so many interviews that you almost get tired of saying the same thing, especially when manifestation is kind of something you keep to yourself. So when I have to keep like relinquishing my secrets and my thoughts, you know, I feel like it almost makes my manifestation a little bit weaker. You're telling the whole world, I don't know, but I like to keep it to myself more. So doing it after the fight's a pretty cool little switch up. I also enjoy like talking to you guys when I'm in different states and shit, which is cool. But man, it's nice to be hydrated and actually have a full length conversation where I'm not just trying to get an answer out real quick and fucking get back in the sauna.
Hell yeah, totally. We appreciate you doing the time with that stuff though.
Because I'm a drinking ass. I'm always during the show. I'm just slamming the drink every 2 minutes.
Exactly.
I'm like,
I went and got an energy drink. I'm like, I'm gonna be drinking an energy drink during this too.
I feel bad, man. Some of the times we'll have people on, and I'm like, dude, I know they're going through it right now.
You're like, hold on.
Hey, man, we were having to ask yesterday, since we had Caleb Conley on talking about all things ICP, bro. We had to find out what his favorite Faygo flavor was, bro. You know, we had to, speaking of drinks, had to get it.
Favorite Faygo.
Yeah. Hey, dude, I mean, the guy's the champ in ICP's wrestling promotion, Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Shout out to them for hitting us up for their show that's going to be here Devil's Night. That's going to be headlined by TNA champion Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler. So get down with it if you're here in Detroit. But yeah, dude, you know, you can't get down with ICP and not have drink Faygo. So I had to see what kind of fucking Faygo he likes.
Since we're on that topic, can I have a quick moment of silence for my 60-40? 60-40. That used to be my favorite. That shit's long gone nowadays. Can't find it nowhere.
Corey, we're getting fucking old, dude. All right. Just man. The fact that the first pay-per-view I ever watched.
Yeah, you never had 60-40 Faygo? It was like Faygo squirt, basically.
Okay.
That shit was so good.
It might ring a bell.
Yeah,
okay,
bright yellow.
Or the full Mountain Dew, we had to get the Moon Mountain or whatever it was.
Moon Mist, yep.
Yeah, Moon Mist.
He said he was going to pick Moon Mist, but he said that that's like the stereotypical answer. He went with the blueberry one.
That's what I'd say.
There you go.
My favorite.
There you go.
See, Caleb Conley knows, but hell yeah, we know what time it is. And if you guys are new here, make sure you check out that with Caleb Conley and talking about heels on stars and all that stuff as well. But until next time and in the in-between time, and if you are at AEW, it may be Swerve's house, but make sure you're looking out for knockouts and 3 counts. Until next time and in the in-between time, peace.